instruments on it, but we recorded it at Abbey Road, so it's just got a beautiful sound to it. It's a really beautiful sounding score.
I've listened to the score. I gotta get the vinyl for sure. And
the vinyl's great.
I'm getting back into that. The digital is becoming a little too much. It's awesome and everything, but I'd like to have that authentic feel.
Me too.
Did you? I'm sure you know about Gustav Holst. Holst, is it Gustav Holst?
Oh, Holst? You mean the planets?
Yeah, the planets. Oh,
sure.
One of my favorite, music.
Fantastic. Yeah. Fantastic composer.
Yeah, I
grew up on that music, and again, I think I'm quite certain that John Williams did, and before him, the Planets is such an influential. The Planets is akin to how Aaron Copland sort of invented this American music. I believe that Holst invented the sort of the planet, the science travel. Somehow he invented the sound of what everybody envisions that's what it's supposed to sound like when we go into space, right? Because it's always in there somewhere. Is that influence from that beautiful suite?
Yeah, there's actually a piece in Star Wars. I don't know where. I think it's Episode 4, which is almost close to identical.
Mars?
Yeah. There's just like
there's a bunch of Zimmer stuff. There's some Zimmer stuff that's even closer.
Yeah, I'm sure there is. Which takes me to the next question. So, I wonder if this happened to you ever. I was talking to the director of The Prince of Egypt, and Hans Zimmer did the score of that, and they were trying to come up with the theme and everything. And now this is a story from from all the three directors that directed Prince of Egypt. So I'm going by that. That Hans came one day to the studio, and he was like, guys, I've got the theme. And, he played it, and they all looked at him, and they're like, that's the theme from Xena, the Princess Warrior. And he goes, well, I must have been, my kids watch it all the time, so I probably just sat in my subconscious. Has that ever happened to you?
Yeah.
Where you, okay, what would that be? If that
I wrote a theme for this show, and I can't remember what the show was, but the theme I came up with was a Silvestri theme. And so I played it for my orchestrator, and I said, I think this is kind of good. It kind of sounds John Williams-ish, and my friend goes, yeah, well, it sounds Alan Silvestri because it's almost note for note from one of his action scores. And I went, oh God, it is. It's almost exactly the same.
Was it Romancing the Stone, or?
I don't remember what I stole from, because as soon as I realized it, I erased it. I was like, oh, forget it. Forget it. I can't believe I did that. But I think we've all done that. I've heard speed in scores a lot.
Yes,
theme and I did a movie called August Rush, and that had really thematic rhapsody at the end. And I've heard quotes from that in other people's scores, and I always think, I wonder if they, subconsciously, just like me, just subconsciously said, oh, I like that melody because it sounds familiar, because they've heard it before.
Yeah. I think it is subconscious because something like that happened to me. I've grown up on Spielberg like most of us, right? Like I've loved his work, and that's what got me into filmmaking. One of the most recent narrative documentaries I did, In Search of My Sister, I created the poster myself. This was during COVID time when nothing was happening, and I created it. And I'm like, where the hell have I seen this poster? And this wasn't in any way a copy. It was actually very thematic to the film. A woman sitting in front of a television set looking at satellite imagery. And then 2 weeks later, after I finished it, I stumbled upon the Poltergeist poster. And I'm like, that's where I got it from. But I think
push delete. Yeah, I know. I think we all have all done it, right? I mean,
Yeah.
We're influenced by what we see and hear.
Absolutely. What are you working on next, if anything?
Well, I am, and unfortunately, I am sworn to secrecy. Only because they haven't announced it yet, and they haven't announced the people involved in it yet.
Okay.
So I'm already doing it. We've been working. We've been here in my studio working. Everybody's been here. It's been fantastic. But unfortunately, I can't talk about it. But
no worries.
It's fun. It's really cool. It's a big project, and I can just tell you that I'm not doing the score, so it's not a score, but it's really exciting. And then we're about to start a series for Disney Plus of Moana. I think it's a 4-part series going on with her life into where she takes off at I think 18 or so, and it's really good. So those things are going on. There's other things coming, but we're gonna wait. They're making a new Twister movie.
I was going to ask you. I read about the Twister sequel. Are you in any way remotely involved with it, or you don't know?
Don't know. I mean, nobody's. I mean, the head of music at Fox, I've talked to, and he'd love me to do it. But there isn't any talk of me doing it. So, who knows what's in their mind,
Yeah, it's a shame that Bill passed.
I should do it, I mean, I don't know whether I even want to, but I should do it,
I think you should. Not that my opinion matters, but I think you should.
I mean, obviously it would be updated and it would be a different kind of a thing, but who knows? These things are politics, and you never know how things are going to land.
Yeah. And
I don't need more work. Let me put it that way.
No, it's not about it's not about more work in terms of necessity of living, which is great and everything, but just the idea of doing what you are born to do and what you're meant to do and what you would love doing, because that puts you in a happy place, and that's the most important thing about anything else.
Well, those are movies, like for instance, if they redid Speed as a new version of it, it would be really weird if they didn't use my themes in it. For me, it would just seem like it's not Speed. It would seem like it's a whatever, But if they did use my themes, even if I didn't do it, but if somebody else used those themes in a different way, it would really feel like a Speed thing. I'm kind of surprised they haven't done it, because, I mean, it is a classic. But, they could update it and do it probably pretty cool.
I think my guess would be because Speed 2 happened, and Speed 2 didn't do well box office, which I actually saw it, right? Because even though I've heard so many terrible things about it, it wasn't that terrible, but it wasn't obviously as great as the first one.
The frustrating thing for me was that after Speed and after Twister, I would say to Jan, how come we're not doing a Speed 2? And he would say, I just can't find the right script. I can't find the right subject, I was like, okay, And then he called me and said, we've got it. We've got the subject. It's going to be unbelievable. We're going to write a symphony. And I was all excited. And I went to his studio and I saw that it was a ship. And, I mean, honestly, I didn't know what to do, because there's no way I could say, no, I'm not doing it. Because he gave me a break. But all I could think of is, how am I going to make this good? I mean, it's a ship, It's going so slow, nobody cares. And you don't have Keanu Reeves. So it was a very painful movie for me, and I know for Jan, too. It was a really painful movie because it just got out of control. It cost a fortune. It wasn't good. And I tried everything I could to make it good, but I just couldn't.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. And in terms of, I'll take another 5-10 minutes of your time, and then I'll let you get back to your work. Future composers, right? Like, the way the 90s became, in my view, the era of new composers, and, I think we're in that same time frame now, maybe we're past that couple of years. What advice do you have for people who are trying to get into scores or trying to do film soundtracks?
Well, one thing I learned from Alan Silvestri is to always keep in mind that you're in a service industry when you're a film composer. If you're a composer, you're not in a service industry. But if you're a film composer, you're in a service industry, which means you're there to serve the people hiring you. You're not there to serve yourself. If you can do both, great. But at the end of the day, it's not your movie, it's the director's movie. So, you really need to listen to them, and you really need to be flexible. And that doesn't mean that you want to give up on your ideas and be pushed around, but at the same time, it's not your movie. And you have to keep that in mind, because it's very